Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of It's Football Not Soccer, our new podcast where we talk about a range of footballing topics from fantasy football league to match analysis and match previews. Today, joining me is my colleague Jack and Tope.
Right there.
You right, guys?
Jordan, as well, who will usually be doing this with us, isn't here today, so hopefully next week you'll get to meet him. Like I said, this is our first podcast, so please remember to subscribe and leave us some comments on what you think and some suggestions for what you want to hear in the future. Today we're going to be talking about England and how they've now recently qualified for next year's Euros, and then we'll be moving on to Wayne Rooney in a discussion of whether we think he's the greatest England player of all time, and then we'll be finishing with Premiership preview of the weekend games. So guys, it's been a good week for England. Nice 6-0 win over San Marino before a comfortable 2-0 win over Switzerland. Starting off with the San Marino game, we all knew that it was going to be probably around 5 or 6-0, but what are your thoughts on the game?
It was as expected, really. I mean, you go there, you don't really expect anything less than like 4-5, 6-0. Those kind of games, I feel, they're not really going to prepare England for the Euros in that way, but it's good to sort of experiment. You know, we had a few different players playing. Everyone like Walcott, Kane got a goal as well. Overall, I thought it was as expected, really. I think, to be fair, good on San Marino last night for getting their first away goal in about 14 years. Good for them.
Yeah, a few coupon busters in that one.
Well, that's it.
What about you, Tope? What do you think?
Yeah, I think like Jack said, it was to be expected. I think to be fair as well to San Marino, they did play well. They tried their best, and they were unlucky with the own goal and even the penalty.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't understand. I didn't see a foul in there from either side, but I guess in the end of the day, it didn't matter. We was going to eventually score, so we'll move on from that one. But moving on to the more serious game, I can say. I know we'd already qualified, but the big game last night for Wayne Rooney and for England, securing top spot in the group, against 2-0 win against Switzerland. So I thought personally it was a nice, comfortable win. We looked solid defensively. I think, as probably you talk about England all the time, could have done a bit more going forward, but we done just enough. A good goal from Harry Kane, good work from Luke Shaw, and obviously Rooney getting his 50th goal.
50th goal, record breaking.
Yeah, I think it might have looked comfortable on paper, but I think Roy Hodgson said in his press conference that Switzerland will feel unlucky because of the result. Because they did play well, they did have chances, but they just didn't take them. I think we had a poor first half,
Very poor.
but very poor,
Yeah.
and then in the second half we definitely improved. I think the introduction of Harry Kane did wonders as well. But I was expecting more from a few people, to be fair.
Yeah, I think like you said, bringing on Harry Kane, it freed up a lot of space up front. I think Rooney was becoming a bit isolated, and there was always that fear of will you get that 50th goal. Bringing on Harry Kane and Rooney dropping into the hole, I think it gave Switzerland a few more problems, freed up a bit more space on the wings, and that's Luke Shaw got down there to create the goal for Kane, and Sterling coming inside won the penalty. So I think that was a great substitution by Roy Hodgson, and obviously always great to see Harry Kane get on the score sheet.
Tottenham fan.
Yeah, I'm just going to say there was a couple of people who, to be fair, really stood out to me, and then to be fair, one of them was not normally someone I rate very highly, and that's Chris Smalling, who actually did get man of the match, and rightly so, because it wasn't, as you alluded to before, I mean, England was solid, we were sort of caught out maybe now and again on the break, but they didn't really test us too much. I mean, Joe Hart made one good save where he came out against Shaqiri, but the defence was solid, and Smalling, his distribution I thought was excellent, so he was really playing the ball out. I don't know what he's done, maybe it's Van Gaal over like the last year or so, but he's really improved as a defender. So him and Cahill had a decent game, to be fair. To be fair, I think Smalling could push Jagielka, who has been solid but not great for England in the past. And the other player in particular was Shaw, who made the assist for Kane. He played really well, was bombing down that left-hand side the whole game.
I was about to say, Shaw was my man of the match last night. I think, talking to Tope earlier about this, I think Smalling got man of the match, and I don't think I quite agree with that. I think it was there were sixes and sevens out of tens all round last night, and Smalling was probably a 7. I think Shaw was the only 8 out there. But I think Smalling got man of the match. There was one moment where I think he got a yellow card. I think the ball got in behind him.
I think it was a harsh yellow because I think he just made the ball.
He did. That's what I was saying. He did just get the ball, but it was one of those. He got a slight touch, and if he didn't bring Shaqiri down, Shaqiri would have been through. So I think he got a bit caught out there. But I think for me, also another player, John Joe Shelby.
Yeah.
I think he was very unlucky to be pulled off last night. I think he was playing very well in that midfield. He played a bit deeper than usual, pulling the strings. Reminded me a bit of Gerrard.
I was going to say, you said that before. You think he might make that Gerrard role because he can distribute the ball really well in that centre of the park. He's done that well.
He can definitely spot a pass. He's got a long range shot as well. I think he was one of the goal of the season contenders last season.
He always is, isn't he?
For a beautiful goal that he scored. So yeah, he did very well, and I think, like you were saying about the centre back Smalling and Cahill, that I think they're going to be the mainstays. I think that's going to be the partnership that Hodgson bases his team around.
Do you think Stones will be breaking into that this season?
I don't think Stones will be breaking into that season.
No, I agree. I don't think
Because
so.
it's funny with the San Marino game as well. He did make a few mistakes. He did make a few, and this is a 40 million.
Would you say that's due to the pitch, or was it just basic errors that?
I think he got caught out, and this is no offense to San Marino, but a San Marino player who could have almost didn't really make Joe Hart work for it, but Stones was caught out, and you shouldn't really be doing that against a team. That
it's true
not
because
so quality.
These guys are part time.
Yeah, they're like cleaners.
Part time teachers
and
things like that. So I think when you're getting valued at 40 million, you shouldn't be making that sort of mistake. So it may be harsh, but that's why.
No, I think it's a fair point. I think you can only beat who's out in front of you, and if you have made mistakes, no matter if it's against Brazil or San Marino, they're mistakes, and you have to be criticised. But I think he is one for the future. I think just touching on Smalling again, I've never been a massive fan of Smalling. Like Phil Jones, I've always wondered, firstly, how they've got into England squads, but secondly, how they always seem to be starting.
Red shirt.
But I think in the last 6 months to 9 months, Smalling definitely has improved as a player, and he now deserves to be in that England squad. And arguably, after recent performances, mainly in the Premiership, really,
From Cahill,
I think him and Cahill, that could be the partnership of the future.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see how that one goes.
I just want to pick on one performance who I was really disappointed with, and it's I don't know if this is something with managers who they generally keep on players who I felt really particularly poor. It was the guy who won the penalty, and it was Sterling, who I thought had a particularly poor game, and I'm not too sure why, because that's again a game against Switzerland. That's a type of game, like it's 0-0 at half time. He's like, if he's as good as everyone says he is, he should be taking that game by the scruff of the neck. He should be barreling down the wing, but whenever he was just sort of against one-on-one with, I think it was Lichtsteiner, he'd never take him on. He would just stop, play it short. He'd never sort of try and break through.
He is up against a very experienced defender in Lichtsteiner. He plays for Juventus. One thing I would say is, I think sometimes it's the smaller things that you don't necessarily see. So people say he had a bad game. He was coming inside a lot, and that created a lot of space for Luke Shaw, who we saw was get up and down that line constantly and set up the first goal. So I think sometimes directly you think, oh, he's not done a lot, it's not made a massive impact apart from winning the penalty. But indirectly, moving inside 5-10 yards, he creates a bit of space for other players to cause damage. And I agree with you. I think Roy Hodgson come out and said that Sterling's got to be a bit more of a match winner. He's got to live up to that price tag. He's a growing player now. Worth 50 million apparently.
He was good in his defensive responsibility.
He tracked back a lot.
And like Hodgson said as well before the game, that we can't just have with Rooney going to get the 50 goals. We can't just have Rooney scoring our goal. We need the players to step up to the plate. And I thought, because I looked at him and I thought, why don't you go at it? Why don't you go at him? Why don't you take him down the line? So I was a bit disappointed in his performance. I thought he could have done more. I know he had a 6 out of 10 game, but I expect a lot. Because if you think back what he did against Italy at the World Cup
Yeah,
So I
very
thought-
good in that game.
Very good in that game.
I think it's a big season for not just Sterling, but the likes of Chamberlain, who's been given a couple of starts, and I think he's performed quite well.
Yeah, he was a
Walcott,
bit-
another player coming in. There's those wide positions. They're going to be open this season. Lots of people say Sterling's a walk-in, but if other players play well, I think Hodgson, if Sterling's not performing, then he'll move things around. So I think Rooney's going to be a certain to play up front, and he could, if Kane has another good season, Kane could start front with Rooney behind. So there's two positions for me. Sterling, you think should be nailed on, but there's a chance he might not. So big season for people like Chamberlain and Walcott to try and get that 11th spot.
I just want to go back to Chamberlain very quickly because didn't see too much of that right hand side in that game, and it was a shame actually because I think the one time sort of Chamberlain did get on the ball, he burst past the two defenders,
Really
played a really good ball over the top, and I think I spoke with you before about this topic about Chamberlain. Should he play regularly for Arsenal? This will probably be his year. He'll probably be really, really good. I'm expecting big things from Chamberlain.
Well, hopefully he'll produce, and again, hopefully England produce next year's Euros. We're going to take a quick break now, but when we come back, we're going to be talking about that man, Wayne Rooney, and is he the greatest player for England of all time? Okay, everyone, so welcome back to It's Football, Not Soccer. Before the break, we talked about England and how they've successfully qualified for the Euros, and now we're going to be moving on to England's captain, Wayne Rooney. Big discussion. He's now broken that record. He's scored 50 goals for England and passed Bobby Charlton's 49. So, boys, is he England's greatest striker or greatest player of all time?
I wouldn't say he's the greatest player of all time. I would say that accolade, if you like, will go to Bobby Charlton because he won the World Cup with England. He was in that squad, but I know a lot of people have underestimated Rooney's achievements, and I think you've got to look back to the strikers that we've had in the past since Bobby Charlton. You've had your Robbie Fowlers, your Teddy Sheringhams, your Ian Wrights, who was the Arsenal's greatest ever goal scorer before Thierry Henry, and all these players haven't got close to that record. And to stay consistent from 17 years old when he broke into that team against Australia, I think in 2003, to stay, stay current in that team and to break that record is an amazing achievement. And he's one of the best players England have produced, without a doubt.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, you can only do so much against who you're playing. I mean, to be fair, the majority of his goals have come from the qualifying campaigns, but we've got to get there, and to be fair, it's been the majority of his goals that have taken us through qualifying. And now everyone will just look at the tournaments and say, okay, he hasn't scored in obviously the majority of the tournaments. It's difficult really when you think about it, because
just going back to what you said about qualification goals. Out of his 50 goals, 30, got some stats here, 30 of them have been in qualification. I think it's 16 in the Euros or 14 in the World Cup, or give or take, either way. And what you said, tournaments, only 6 goals.
6, yeah.
And apart from when he broke on in the Euros, and I think he scored 3 or 4 in his first tournament, he has been a bit of a disappointment. I think that's what will go against him when you talk about it.
That's what everyone will see. I mean,
everyone judges everyone on football, tournament football.
I don't know if it's the pressure of the team. I mean, if you go back to sort of South Africa, I mean, it wasn't just Rooney, it's the whole team.
No, that's true.
There's a lot of pressure probably on him because to us, he's our Shaqiri, he's our Ibrahimovic, he's our Ronaldo, and he's not for me, he's not the player that everyone thought he was. Maybe it was a case for me that he peaked maybe a bit too early for England.
I think we've got to remember though that after the Euros in 2004, where he had a brilliant campaign, 2006 he came to the squad injured. He got injured a few games before the end of the 2005-2006 season. He got injured against Chelsea. I remember that. So he came into the World Cup squad injured. 2008 we didn't qualify because we had a Wally with the Brolly as manager. 2010 he was playing for United. He had a brilliant season. This was the season that Ronaldo had left. So he picked up the play, and he was our fantastic greatest player, but he got injured again. So he came into the squad injured. So a lot of the campaigns, he's been very unlucky and he's come in injured. So I think we've got to think about that. And also, another point I like to make is he even said it himself yesterday in the interview that from 2008 to like 2009, he didn't score a lot of goals at all. He didn't score many goals. I think it was during like the pre-McLaren range. He didn't score many goals at all. So to go through a drought as well, like a year drought, if you like, and to still be the top scorer, I think that's brilliant.
I think probably the one other point that I might just bring up is with the change of managers, he's probably been put in a number of different positions, which obviously wouldn't be fancy. You'd have to ask him to really know where he wants to play. A lot of people will say, oh, he should be up top, he should be the main striker. I mean, that's at the moment, that's where he's playing for United, but is that his best? And a lot of people say, oh, he plays in the number 10 role, maybe that's good. Or maybe even he should be deeper in midfield. I don't know, So he's been moved around quite a lot, both in United and in the England team. So that's probably hindered it as well. But you'd like to have thought that in the tournament, when it mattered, he would have come up with the goods.
Was in the last tournament he missed that great chance against Italy, great turn, and you thought this is it. This is going to score the goal, maybe have a great tournament, and he dragged it wide. And I know he did score against Uruguay in the end.
Yeah,
and that was a good piece of movement. But maybe this year, if he has a good season for United, he is their main man now. Man United haven't gone out and brought a top striker. It's going to be Rooney. If he can stay fit, he's going to be playing there probably 50 games as their main man. If he can go into that with some good form, maybe he can finally have that tournament that we're all thinking about. He's going to be 30 years old.
He hasn't started the season well,
experienced,
but it's only the start of the season. I mean, come the turn of the year, he could well go up the goal scoring ranks.
I'm a Man United fan, and from when I was a kid, I love Rooney, but he is in decline now. Definitely, he is not the player that he was before, and I don't think he's gonna reach those heights to help England get to that next level.
See, I think that some Man United fans and many football fans made the same mistake about Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs. I think they had a few seasons, maybe a bit later, maybe when they was in their early 30s, where they didn't have the best few seasons, and then people said, oh, they're in decline, they won't be lasting much longer. And then a few years later, Paul Scholes, he come out of retirement because they were struggling without him. Giggs, he had some golden years in his late 30s and stayed around a bit more. So I think Rooney, I'm not saying he's going to score 30 goals a season, but I still think that he'll consistently get between 15 and 20 goals for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And in the Premiership, if you've got good players around him, which he will at Man United, I think he can keep going for England, for Man United, and exceed Man United's record. I think he's only about 15, 16 after that as well.
Beckham thinks he'll play for the next 5 years for England.
Definitely.
Yeah, but I don't agree with that. So you think he's going to be 35 to 35?
Me personally, with the strikers that we've got, Sturridge has been on and off injured. I think he's probably our best out-and-out striker. But Harry Kane, if he has another decent, he's going to be the guy who could potentially break Rooney. I mean, you don't know. For Spurs, but you don't know if he's going to be moving from Spurs or what. But he's only played four games, 3 goals. It's always a good start.
50 goals is a lot though. I think you think it's a good start. He's 22, 3 goals in 4 games, but still 47 away. That's just from now matching Rooney's. Rooney, you got to think he's going to probably score He's at least 10 more. 10 more, at least probably, 10 more. Maybe even he might get into 70. Like Robbie Keane, he's still going for Ireland. He's playing in MLS, which isn't the best league in the world, but he's still playing for Ireland. He's still scoring and still holding that starting role. So if Rooney keeps playing and keeps scoring, he scored 7 goals in the last 7 qualifying games, then you can't drop him. Like Hodgson in the past, they might not be playing in the league, but if they're playing well, like Andros Townsend keeps them in, he keeps playing well, they keep him in.
I don't think they will. No.
I don't think. In a few seasons, I think it's going to be hard for whoever the manager is, but
Yeah.
I think they're going to have to drop Rooney because he's not that dynamic striker that he once was. And you can be a goal scorer. You can be a goal scorer, and you can do your part for the team in terms of in terms of scoring goals. But you're not going to need to do more than that. And I just don't think he's going to trouble the best defences in the world. And
this is the difference. I mean, he's going to put a shift in, and he'll be in the squad a lot, but they're going to start looking at him and thinking, okay, he's hit 30, and they'll start looking at him and think, should he be playing there? Should he be playing in the middle? And the whole Gerrard situation when they shoved him out wide, they put him in the hole sometimes, and they put him deep. It will happen to Rooney. They'll start thinking, where can we play him? But it probably won't be up front.
Because even for me, if I was the Man United manager, you play Rooney up. That's what LVG does. But I think we need another striker. I wish we got Benteke because he's the type of striker that we need. And I think if we leave Rooney in, we're not going to win the Premiership with Rooney as our main guy.
Fair point. Okay, so moving on from that, in 30 seconds, each of us, so answer, is in your eyes Rooney the best? And if yes, that's it. If not, why? It's the top 8.
Rooney is not the best not the greatest England player ever, but he is one of them. And that's because, he's broken records and he has been England's main man for so long.
Jack?
I don't think he is either. I mean, you can't knock the stats and how good he's been, and the fact that he's got the record. That record will probably be held for quite some time. But I agree. I just don't think, like in the past, you've had England players who have really, like I said before, taken the game by the scruff of the neck, especially in tournaments. Like you've had your Gazzers, even like your Linekers, your Barnes to a degree, and I don't feel Rooney does that. He doesn't do it when he needs to, and when England need him to.
And I think I have to agree with you for slightly different reasons. I think, yes, he's broken the record. He might even break the appearance record one day. But just because he's scored 50 goals, I don't think he's best. He hasn't won a World Cup, and he hasn't even been in an England team that's got close to getting to a semis or even to a final.
No.
So, and also I think he's been a controversial character. I know he's matured and he's grown up, but he's had some problems when he was younger as well. A few red cards and some outbursts. But I think that, and when the fans look at him, I think that will go against him, where some of the greatest, I know Beckham had that Argentino, but everyone loves David Beckham, so that always comes to the front of their minds. I think when Rooney's gone in 5-10 years, I think he'll have the records, but I don't think that'll be enough.
I agree.
If I could say one more thing on this, I think there's two types of English players. There's great English players, like, your Paul Scholes, your Gerrards, and there's great English players that play well for England. And so you don't get a lot of the latter. You don't get a lot of the latter.
Well, that's our views on it. So leave a comment, tell us what you think, and if you have any good opinions, we'll mention them next week. We're going to take a quick break again, and when we come back, we'll be previewing the Premiership weekend. Welcome back, everyone. We're now going to be moving on to the Premiership fixtures for the weekend. Before we start that, I'm just going to introduce you to It's Football Not Soccer Predictor. Jack's that's his little baby, so he's going to talk to you about that.
Thank you, Kushway. Basically, it's just going to be a little competition that we want you guys to get involved with. It's a little rivalry between the four of us, and hopefully you guys as well. So all we're going to do is predict every week the Premier League fixtures, and all you've got to do is leave your fixture predictions in the comments, and we'll add you to our table each week. And at the end of it, we'll total up all the scores. We'll keep you updated with it as well in the regular podcasts until we get a winner, and there'll be a little prize draw at the end as well. So I'm just going to kick off quickly with Everton versus Chelsea. My prediction for this is 2-2.
I think this game's gonna have so much drama with the whole John Stones thing. So I think it's gonna be 2-1. And then the last minute, John Stones gonna jump over the ball to score an own goal.
I think we can't. I don't think Chelsea will carry on. They've got to pick up sooner rather than later. I think Mourinho's had 2 weeks to organise things. So I'm going to go to keep another clean sheet. I'll go to 2-0 Chelsea.
Well, okay. Moving on to Arsenal versus Stoke. I expect Arsenal to generally start improving over the next couple of games. And I think they'll start with Stoke. It's at home as well, so I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal.
I'm gonna go for a 2-1 Stoke. Arsenal a bit scared of the Stoke players, so I think it'd be a bit too physical for the likes of your Chamberlains and so yeah.
I think it's going to be a comfortable 2-0 win for Arsenal. I think Stoke's style of players change, and I don't think they're going to go and sit back, and I think they'll leave a bit of room, and I think Arsenal have got the quality to pick them off.
Okay. Crystal Palace versus Man City. And I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here, despite the two teams being very open in their attack. I think this is going to be not the most entertaining game. I think it's going to be a tight 1-1.
I disagree actually. I think it's going to be the opposite. I think it's going to be a very open game, and I think it's going to be 3-2 Man City. Wow. A lot of goals.
I agree and disagree with both of you. I think it's, on one hand, it's going to be a very good game. I think teams both on form, but I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think Man City will edge a very good game 1-0.
Now Norwich versus Bournemouth, and like what Tope just said about Crystal Palace and Man City, I think this will be a very open game. And I'm gone for Bournemouth 3, Norwich 2.
Well, Norwich Bournemouth, these are the games that you can't predict. So I will go for a 2-1 Norwich win.
Yeah, I don't know how to split these two teams both. I think this season will score a lot of goals. So I'm going to go down the middle with a 2-2 draw.
Watford versus Swansea. I think Swansea will run out comfortable winners against Watford, despite Watford's good defence. So I'm going to go with 3-0 Swansea.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 Swansea.
I'm going to stick with a 0-0, which Watford have got in the last two home games.
Moving on to West Brom Southampton, I'm predicting a 0-0 in this game. I think both teams have very good defences and their attacks haven't been quite what they were last season.
Another game you can't predict. Let me, go out of the box. Let me say 3-0 West Brom.
I think this will be a low scoring game. I think both these teams haven't had the best start to the season. Haven't had the worst, but haven't had the best. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
And there's a big clash. It's a Saturday night football. It's Man United versus Liverpool. And again, I think this is going to be a tight, cagey game with Liverpool trying to probe United's defence. I think it might, though, just be a 1-0 United win.
We're going to blow them out the park, 4-0.
I've also gone for Man United win. I've gone 2-1. I think Liverpool, they've been a bit lucky this season to have 7 points so far. And I think Man United will turn them over.
Moving on to Sunderland versus Tottenham Hotspur. I'm definitely going to go with a Spurs win here. I think it will be 2-0 away.
I think it will be Harry Kane will get a couple of goals. I think Defoe will get 1 goal, so 2-1 Tottenham.
I'm also going 2-1 Spurs. We've had 3 draws in a row and we played well and deserves a few more points than that. So I think we're going to finally get the 3 points.
Moving on to the surprise package of the season in Leicester. They're playing Aston Villa at home. Despite Aston Villa's, they've got a decent defence. But Leicester I think they've been blowing teams out of the water. I'm thinking Mahrez is going to have another good game. I think it's going to be 2-0 Leicester.
Yeah, like you said, Mahrez, he's like the new Suarez, so I'll say Mahrez will get a couple goals. Yeah, 2-1 Leicester.
Lots of people won't agree with me, but I'm going to go 1-0 Villa. I think Villa are the kind of team that when they play away against teams on form, they can sometimes pull out a shock result, and I think they might just do it this weekend. I think I could be wrong.
And the final game is West Ham against Newcastle, and I don't really think this is a game you can predict. I mean, I never really know what's going to happen with Newcastle. I mean, sometimes they come out of the blocks and they're really good with Perez and Cisse, but I think it's going to be 2-2 actually, 2-2 West Newcastle.
Well, Newcastle, like a lot of teams in the Premiership this season, don't like playing at home. So as they're away, I think they could win, but West Ham have got Reece Oxford, 16 years old, and he's world class already. So I think it will be, I'll say 2-1 Newcastle will come.
I've gone, same as Jack, I've gone 2-2. Very unpredictable teams, so I'm just going to play it safe, go down the middle of the draw. So there are predictions for this week. Like Jack said, leave your predictions in the comments. We'll add those to our little spreadsheet, and whoever's top at the end, we'll announce that next week's podcast. We'll also put in the description the scoring system for that as well, so you know exactly how you've done by the end of the game week. So that's all from us this week. Thank you for listening. Give us a like and give us a comment. Let us know how we did and any suggestions for future podcasts. And remember to subscribe. But see you next week.
See you next week, guys.